Welcome back, welcome black to In Black America Radio with your host Rasta B. Today's show title is called The Compromise of 2020 Part 2, The Fight for the White Vote. Today's date is September 4th, 2020. Wow, I can't believe we're in September already. September 4th, 2020. We're going to be talking about, me and my co-host Smoke, we're going to be talking about a lot of the political games going on between Biden, Trump, Democrats, Republicans. We're going to talk about, give you some updates on the Breonna Taylor story. We're going to talk about the 19 black families that purchased land to create a black safe space, and much more. Guest calling number 516-531-9992. But before we continue, let me go ahead and bring in my co-host Smoke. Smoke, are you there?
You was good.
Shit, man. Let's go with you.
Shit, big Friday. Another Friday. I'm tired today. I don't know. I don't know why. I took a nap earlier. Probably slept too much. But other than that, I'm ready to see what's going on.
Yeah, man. It's a lot of shit. Yeah, a lot of shit. I've been picking up on the news. Yeah, it's a lot of shit I've been picking up on the news. So it's interesting and shit like that. One of the interesting things, besides just, today just being Friday and, the bleeding of the stock market. Ay. Anybody participating in stock?
Right. Today. Yeah, man. I had to shut down looking at it after a while. It was like,
yeah.
I'm tapping out for the day.
Yeah, that shit was ugly. Yeah, I was talking to the homie Chicken and shit. So, he invests. So, I was talking about that. But it's funny because, everybody on their own different, I guess, knowledge or whatever of investing. So, he's more so like, dropping money in, letting it go up, taking it out or whatever. So I was telling him, I said, really, because you're an entrepreneur and you have your own carpet business, what you should do is just drop your money in a stock. You know what I'm saying? Just leave it in there. Just build your portfolio. And I was telling him about the core portfolio and all that stuff like that, and having E-Trade do it for him. All that shit, just to give him another idea of what to do with his bread, So he's gonna look into that shit. Yeah, but it's good seeing the bros and shit stacking their paper instead of us talking about blowing it. You know what I'm saying? It's dope. Seeing
that's always the start. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't do anything if you're blowing your bread. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Just like a bunch of silly purchases and shit that ain't gonna hold no value. I mean, you know what I mean? Like a pair of sneakers or something like that. Like once you buy it, that's it. Like,
it looks good to the scuff. It looks good to the scuff. And you know what's funny? So I went to Chicken Crib and shit, and this chicken, you know what I'm saying? What he got on the screen? The Money Channel. He had the Money Channel, CNBC, Fast Talk. I see the ticker going across. And I was like, damn, that was me in '09, yo. That was me in '09. I tapped the channel. And this is somebody that will always keep his shit on ESPN.
Yeah, me too. I know how that goes, man.
Yeah. So, that's how that shit go. Yeah. But before I continue, real quick, just to start shit off, I just seen this story right here. It goes, the House will vote on the federal marijuana legalization for the first time. Bill's future in the Senate is uncertain. So they like the Democratic controlled House will vote on legalizing marijuana at the federal level for the first time in the chamber's history later this month. A hurdle Democrats and advocates are celebrating as Congress grapples with a host of pressing issues before the November election. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, Democrat of Maryland, said that the House would vote on the MORE Act during the week of September 21st. The measure, sponsored by Rep. Jerry Nadler, Democrat of New York, would remove marijuana from the federal list of controlled substances and expunge some marijuana-related criminal records, though it would still be up to the states to pass their own regulation on the sale of marijuana. So that's that story. So they're trying to get that. They're trying to get that through. So
that definitely would be dope for the pass right now and shit. But you calm the the country down a little bit.
You know what I'm saying? But I'll tell everybody this though: if you're not voting for a president, if you somebody like that, then at least vote for the local shit. You know what I'm saying? All type of local shit. That way, you know what I'm saying? Like local affairs and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So check into that shit. We already see marijuana on the list, so check into that shit. Look into bills that's, you know what I'm saying, that's related to you, related to the people. You know what I'm saying? Don't just shun off, period, if you're turned off by the presidential election, is basically what I'm saying. And, yeah. So let me try to get another little story out there. Because the gang of little stories I've seen, you know what I'm saying? So I just want to try to push some shit out there. Let me try to. Yeah, then we got the other one over here, which is 19 black families purchases 96 acres of land to create a safe haven for black people. So it goes, in the face of a pandemic that has hit black Americans harder than almost any other group, while the nation continues to confront the toxic legacy of slavery and Jim Crow, 2 Georgia women have come together to build a community that will be a place free of oppression, a tight-knit community for our people to just come and breathe. They are calling it Freedom, Georgia, and draw their inspiration from Wakanda, the fictional comic book country that was the setting of the movie Black Panther. Ashley Scott, a realtor from Stonecrest, Georgia, who was driven to seek therapy by her reaction to the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery, a young black man jogging in a white neighborhood, said that after several sessions, she realized that her problem was 400 years of racial oppression and trauma dating back to the establishment of slavery in North America. We are dealing with a systematic racism, she wrote in an op-ed for Blavity last month. We are dealing with deep-rooted issues that will require more than protesting in the streets. See, now this right here, this story, I'm going to have to highlight certain points in this story.
Right.
With her friend Renee Walters, an entrepreneur and investor, she founded the Freedom Georgia Initiative, a group of 19 black families who collectively purchased 96.71 acres of rural land in Toomsboro, a town of a few hundred people in central Georgia, with the intention of developing a self-contained black community. The space will have small homes for vacation use and will host weddings, retreats, and recreational functions, and may eventually evolve into an incorporated, self-sustaining community. It's now time for us to get our friends and family together and build for ourselves, said Walters. This is Renee Walter, the entrepreneur and investor, who serves as the president of the organization, in an interview with Yahoo News. That's the only way we'll be safe, and that's the only way that this will work. We have to start bringing each other together. We really just want you to come and hang out and feel safe, she explained. You don't have to worry about the Karens of the world or anything like that. You just come in and have fun. We'll have a sportsman area, like a black sportsman area with fishing, hunting, shooting range, ATV trails. We just really want to build a tight-knit community for our people to just come and breathe. Walters acknowledged the challenges ahead, as history hasn't always been kind to black Americans' aspiration to own property. America's first black towns date back to 1738, near what is now known as St. Augustine, Florida. 38 fugitive enslaved Africans seeking refuge formed a small town named Gracia, Gracia, Rio de Santa Teresa de hold on. Whoa, I didn't even know that was the whole name. Hold on. Formed the town. I'm trying to figure out one word. There's a whole other words behind it. All right, seeking refuge formed a town named Garcia, Rio de Santa Teresa de Moses. Historian Jane Landers explained, as news of the foundation of Moses spread through the South Carolina plantations, groups of enslaved Africans broke loose and tried to make it to Florida, causing some to call it their first promised land. In response to numerous enslaved Africans revolting, the English enacted a year-long siege of Florida, finally capturing Fort Moses in 1740. And if you know about Florida, you know that America fought a lot of enslaved Africans in Florida. Remember, there's a fort called Fort Negro out there. More than a century after the establishment of Fort Moses, and 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, in direct response to the Ebenezer Creek Massacre, Union General W.T. Sherman attempted to create more black towns with his promise of 40 acres and a mule. Ultimately, Abraham Lincoln's successor, Andrew Johnson, a Democrat, considered sympathetic to former slave states, overturned Sherman's order, returning to the colonizers, inspiring free men to begin buying their own land. By 1910, Americans owned more than 14 million acres of land, more than ever before in the history of the United States. But due to the Great Migration and the racist policies that accompanied, right, 90% of the land was lost by the 21st century. No, 90% of the land was stolen by the 21st century. According to ProPublica, the leading cause of black involuntary land loss has been recognized by the U.S. Department of Agriculture as heirs property. Heirs property is land that has been inherited without a will, making the owners vulnerable to laws and codes that allow spectators and developers to acquire their property. It makes more than a third of Southern black-owned land, 3.5 million acres worth, more than $28 billion. In order to begin reclaiming black-owned land and generational wealth, Scott believes black Americans, hold on, let me tell you who Scott is. Scott is Ashley Scott, the realtor from Stonecrest, Georgia. In order to reclaim black-owned land and generational wealth, Scott believes, black Americans must create their own social, political, and economic institution. Amass land, develop affordable housing for yourself, build your own food system, build manufacturing and supply chain, build your own homeschool communities, build your own banks and credit unions, build your own cities, build your own police departments, tax yourself and vote in a majority and a city council you can trust. Build it from scratch. Then go get all the money the United States of America has available for government entities and get them bonds. This is how we build our new Black Wall Street. We can do this. We can have Wakanda. We just have to build it for ourselves. And then it goes on and on and on, right? They talk about Black Wall Street and stuff like that, right? Now, this is the parts I want to talk about and highlight, Smoke, about the story. Because a lot of stuff that was said is things that we always highlight on the show, right? One thing I want to highlight is it's not a bunch of people doing this. You hear what I'm saying, Smoke? Remember, I said the first thing is it's not a lot of people doing this.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
It's 19 black families.
40 people,
so this,
on the low end. Probably 40 people on the low end.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying? On actual people, yeah. But shit, in the pictures, the majority, I see a lot of babies. You know what I'm saying? I see a woman.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like the whole point I'm making is that's 19 families. That's not all black people. There was not a memo that said before we get this land, we need all black people to be on board. No. It took 19 black families to purchase 96 acres of land. So when you're hearing people tell you we can't do it, that's bullshit. And when you're hearing people say the reason why we can't do it is because we all not together, that's major bullshit. This is 19, right? Now here's the other part, Smoke. It goes, okay, so it goes like this. Ashley Scott, she's a realtor, right, from Stonecrest, Georgia. The other woman name is Renee Walters. She's an entrepreneur and an investor. So the next thing that you have to understand is the people that have to come together are the people with that know-how. It's not everybody. No, one woman is a realtor, the other person is an investor. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else.
Black business community.
Right, that's the black business
community, basically.
How long have that been said on the show in Black America Radio? Why we keep asking the people to come together? No, it's the black business community that have to come together. You don't ask the people why we don't have a hospital. No, you ask the medical community. The medical community, the black medical community have to come together to create a hospital. Not black people. No, black medical. If you want to know why black people aren't producing cars, you have to go to the black engineering, the black designing, the black you get what I'm saying, Smoke? You have to go to the people who can come together and create these things and say, why aren't y'all coming together and doing this? It's not why aren't
be specific.
You gotta be specific because that's how you know. If I say I want to open up a restaurant, everyone that I need to come together have to be on the same page dealing with a restaurant. I don't need a plumber. You know what I'm saying? I don't need a mechanic. I don't need the guy selling drugs or the girl shaking her ass. I don't need a DJ. You know what I'm saying? I don't need a news reporter. No, I'm trying to open up a restaurant. So there's things that needs to come together. That's what we need to worry about. The next part, Smoke, because they pump this a lot, mental health, right? So what did Ashley Scott say, the realtor from Stonecrest, Georgia? She said she was driven to seek therapy, right, by her reaction to the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery, right? She said, but after sessions, she realized what? Her problem was 400 years of racial oppression and trauma dating back to the establishment of slavery in North America, right? So that's something that I always say too, because I'll be like this, Smoke. I'd be like, yo, what is therapy supposed to do for black people? I say that shit all the time. What do therapy supposed to do for black people? So that's like, if your problem is every time you go down the block, these guys jump you. And because they jump you, now you have a fucking condition, right? You paranoid. So then your people say, yo, Smoke, you need to go see therapy. So you go see therapy and you get all this stress off you about getting jumped by these boys, right? But then when you leave therapy, you go down the block and you get jumped by these boys again. So do you need therapy? You know what I'm saying? Like, the problem is still there. So what did she say? She said she went for therapy and she realized therapy ain't going to help what I'm dealing with, because what I'm dealing with is systematic. Protesting ain't going to help this shit, because this is some real. So for us to do this, what do we got to do? Her friend Renee Walters, an entrepreneur and an investor, founded the Freedom Georgia Initiative, a group of 19 black families who collectively purchased 96.71 acres of rural land in Toomsboro. Now here's the question, Smoke. The Nation of Islam acts, they talk about that a lot. Elijah Muhammad, his speech, he demands or requires the government to give a certain part of America to black enslaved Africans. You know, you heard of that before?
Yeah.
Because a lot of black nationalists say this. They'll be like, give us these many states, and it's like when I hear it, I laugh. Go ahead.
That black militia group, the NFAC, they be standing on that. You know, like they want to grab a piece of Texas. So they doing like the marches, I think they marching down in Louisville this weekend for the Breonna Taylor joint and all that. And I know the Derby is going on this weekend, so I'm presuming that they're gonna be out there.
Kentucky.
The Kentucky Derby is Saturday. So
I have a story about that.
I know that. So I know they going all down for that. I'm presuming, you know, they in Louisville, so all of that is down there. So we're gonna see what happens, basically.
The thing about
I'm assuming that they're gonna go to that event.
But think about how stupid that shit is. When you got 19 black families,
that group,
right?
Man. That group.
No, I'm
really,
just saying.
I'm
just saying, period. Yeah, I'm just saying, period. Because you have one set of people now that's, we're going to protest, we're going to march, we're going to yell, we're going to show this, we're going to show that. But then you got 19 families here who grab land, who's creating something, who's doing the tangibles, right? Who's sitting here and creating the space where black people can go fishing and not be harassed, hunting and not be harassed, shooting range, not be harassed, ATV trails. That's Meek Mill's them. Not be harassed. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, come on. They're telling the story of how black people was trying to start building towns and shit since the 1738.
Yeah.
So we in 2020.
For me, for me, when I see it, it's like, you know, even like you can strip all of that away, like strip all of the stories of black towns and all of that.
Yeah.
The major thing that stick out is the 19 families. That's an average person probably circle can reach out to 19 families. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
19 people that, you know, and they control their family. But it's just the business opportunity of it. They're creating a resort that people could go to. They're going to have vacation homes for people that have their weddings there, retreats and shit like that. So strip away all of the black shit, you know what I'm saying, for a second. You know what I'm saying? Even though, like, everything is legit as to what was being said. So I'm not trying to discount that. But, like, strip all that shit away. These black people, a realtor and an investor, brought together a bunch of people so they could invest money together in the South and bought 96 acres of land that they're going to turn into a resort. So if you take away, like, strip away the black stuff, even strip away the players, and you just hear what happened, 96 acres of land, town and two for a drug, you're going to swear that's a company. You're going to swear that's some major corporation that's coming in like, man, look at this big company is coming to take that town over. You just strip away all the players. You just hear what it is, you're going to swear that's a big company. Couple people turn it to something that's major, you know what I'm saying? So we can't sit and make excuses as to why we can't do shit. And the one thing I was thinking about was, I'm not sure how, because I was trying to look through to see, like, when they started, their website had, like, it had some stuff from July on it. So it seemed like they put the website and stuff up maybe like a month and some change ago or whatever. But what I was thinking about, like, earlier, you know, during the pandemic and everything is, like, you know, you started getting those notifications from people, emails, texts about the susu, or they calling it like the flower, flower something. You know what I'm saying? And so you got people investing so that they just get a payout every month to each people, and then you bring people. It's like a pyramid scheme, in my opinion. But I didn't hear any of them mentioning, like, you know, people putting money in each month, and that goes towards purchasing something. So, again, I don't know how they collected the money or anything like that, but they could have had something similar here where these 19 fans, we're going to pay, let's say, $1,000 a month per family or something like that, and they all just keep stacking it up until they reach the amount to, you know, start bidding for land. That's sort of similar to that concept, you know what I'm saying? So, like, it's just having a business idea, you know what I mean? And then when you layer over all of the stuff that you was just reviewing in the article, it's just showing that there's a need for it. There's a need for that, you know what I'm saying? And you got these people, some regular people, you know, I'm looking at the people in the article, they're like regular black people, you know what I'm saying? Not special to them. They doing special things, though. Just by putting they mind and money together in their time. So, you know what I mean? That's how we need to be thinking, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the reason why we don't think like that, really and truly, because we don't teach our children that shit. Right. If we teach our children that shit, then we'll have a generation of people that understand it. But if you don't teach a child that shit, like, you can't be pro-black to yourself, and then your child running around over here fucking blind, deaf, and dumb because you feel like your child need to learn this at a certain age. Hell no. Your child's supposed to be knowing who they are, what side of this coin they on, and what this fight is about. Coming straight out the womb. They need to understand this shit and know this shit. That's called survival. That's what that shit's called. It's called survival. Because you're doing an injustice, you're doing a disservice. That's no different than having your daughter. You got your little daughter, and you telling her, yo, run up the store and pick something up from the store. You know what I'm saying? But you never taught your daughter, like, yo, watch out for strangers. Don't talk to nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't teaching her shit. You just got her walking out here blind.
Recipe for disaster.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, that, we wouldn't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like the same way we do that. You got to teach your children what's going on and what this fight's about. Shit, tell you the truth, Smoke, if a lot of these parents, and particularly a lot of these mothers, will step out of this fear bullshit, let's keep it a buck, right? step out of this fear bullshit and start damn teaching these children what time it really is, they might not be out there running wild in the street because they'll understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, what time it is. You dig what I'm saying?
I mean, that's true in the sense of when you look at the article, you know, just relating everything to the article. There's two women that's headlining this article. They're not mentioning no men.
Right.
So it's like
now
you
there's
got two
men.
sisters that put
there's men in it.
What?
Because I see them in
there's
the
men
picture.
in the group. I mean, just like in the article itself.
But in the article,
I mean, like
correct,
the headline, the headliners. You know what I mean? The two leaders or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The two women. You know, an entrepreneur and
a realtor.
You know, a realtor.
Entrepreneur.
I mean?
And
two money making lanes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, shout out to the sisters.
Yeah, straight up. And that's what I always say too. You know what I'm saying? When these women mind is right, then we'll start to see change. You know what I'm saying? Then we'll start to see change and shit like that. But a lot of times their mind ain't right. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because this is the last part, the ending part of the article. So they talk about the Black Wall Street. So then it said, overall, Walter said the Freedom Georgia initiative has been well received and embraced by others in the town. Every time we go to the land and in the actual city, we haven't received any backlash, she said. Everyone is really nice and welcoming. But she adds that there are a host of internet trolls who have nothing good to say and claim segregation on the group's behalf, which she vehemently disagrees with. We're building where we can come and be safe. Chinatown has their areas, and all the other towns, Germantown and Little Italy and all kind of shit, Greek town and all kind of shit. Why is it that when we build, we're considered racist or we're segregating ourselves? Why can't we have our own safe haven? Every community has them. She added, everyone is welcome in freedom, but it's based on seeing black people flourish. Just over 150 years removed from slavery, black Americans continue to push for equality and equity within the country. So that's that story, and that's a wonderful story. But it shows you not only that it can be done, but you don't need everybody and stuff like that, but it shows you this is why I always talk about this, Smoke. You know, and I'm not going to talk all braggadocious like these women has listened to in Black America radio, and that's the reason why they did that. You know what I'm saying? But I talk like that because I want people to understand that's what it is that we need to do. That's what we need to do. All the marching shit ain't do shit. Huh?
Yeah, an example of what, you know, the purpose or whatever.
Yeah, that's why I talk it. Because I'm telling you, it's real. We don't need everybody. We just need the ones who can. It took 19 people. Those 19 people, when they create what they created, guess what? More investors is going to invest. More families is going to go because we don't realize
advertisement.
Advertisement, but black people support black people. Think about how black people support black people.
Looking at that.
But think about how black people support black people on little shit. Not little shit, but shit that's like consumer shit. Like, you know, like regular everyday shit. If we making hats and garments and drums and all kind of shit and we come and patronize. Can you imagine a town when you can go down to Central Georgia and shit like that to vacation in a black town? Where when you go there, it's fucking love. You ain't got to worry about no bullshit type shit. Yo, people will spend money there all the time. That town's going to thrive. Yeah, but then we can't just put it all on that one town. Hopefully the spot comes, another black town pops up somewhere. And another black town pops up somewhere. Then you can have your spring break.
the thing about it is like, we get motivated off what other people doing. So it's like to see that actually occur, because somebody else might have the network and money to maybe do that, but they're not even thinking in that capacity. So they see it, they actually see it happen, and then this is the time that's what you want to copycat. If you're going to copycat something, copycat that. You know what I'm saying? Be inspired by things of that nature. And if you say, well, damn, I don't got a network for that, what can you provide for a town? Do you build shit? You know what I'm saying? You good with electricity? You know what I mean? Can you play part in the construction process? You know what I'm saying? Bring those types of smarts, like you said, the engineers and things like that, to come in and, work on infrastructure and things like that. So you would just think about how you would apply, like, what skills you can apply in that situation, and, you could create a business off of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, again, it's all about economy. This shit is all about economy. I'm trying to find a part before I move on to the next story about there we go. This is because we don't say economy, and I swear that's our problem. We don't call it economy, which is what it is. But she says, in order to begin reclaiming black-owned land and generational wealth, in order to begin reclaiming black-owned land and generational wealth. Generational wealth is the number one term that black people use. You see what I'm saying? Get a house. That's generational wealth. You know what I'm saying? You hear Boyce Watkins say that. I believe, and this Scott again, I want to make sure we getting their names and who they are correct. Scott is Ashley Scott, the realtor. Scott believes black Americans must create their own social, political, and economic institutions. That is another term for economy. Amass land, develop affordable housing for yourself, build your own food system, build manufacturing and supply chains, because guess what, Smoke? You can't have an economy based on consumerism. None of this shit can be sustained without building manufacturing and supply chains, because you have to create and sell. You have to. Build your own homeschool communities, build your own banks. The banks come because of the manufacturing and supply chain. And credit unions. Build your own cities. The cities come because of the manufacturing and supply chains, and the banks, which you hire people who end up living in the affordable homes that you built. They spend money on the food that you're growing. You see what I'm saying? They spend the money from your social, political, and economic institution is going to turn the homeschools into your own school systems. They said you build your own
domino effect.
It's all a domino effect. You build your own police departments. You tax yourself because the police department is funded through taxpayers' money. So you taxing yourself and you have your police department. Guess what? You have the police working for you. Tax yourself, vote in mayors and city council, all that shit. Yeah. And the reason why
all these joints can start out as what were they trying to call this, like vacation spots? You know what I'm saying? All of these places can start like that to bring the dollars in, to bring black people in, to come to our spots. Like we don't got places we go like, man, that's a black spot. We go there. You know, we going into other people's cities and shit. You know, places we don't dominate. So yeah, they could all start out like this whole plan is dope. But I ain't mean to cut you off, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like,
remember what we were talking about a couple of days ago with the bank, when you were talking about how I was like, if the financial people, no, you were saying how the basketball players, the athletes, can all funnel their money into if all the financial people basically came together and created their own.
Like the accountants,
right.
Like the agents and shit like that, and basically just have a system that they can, entrust their money in. You know what I mean? Investing in things like this that, one is going to help the black community, but it's also going to bring them their profit back. A lot of these athletes, they investing in, white America or other economies. Even if it's a benefit, it's just a benefit solely to them and they're a small group. It ain't a benefit to others. You know what I'm saying? So, you can have like where it's just start from the agents and they funneling the money, getting their clients to, put money in black banks with, then you got black accountants. That's, now you got a more trustworthy system. Exactly. And your investments where you make money off of is going, they can all help the black community. You know what I'm saying? It's like all of these star athletes, and especially when you're talking about, basketball, football, large contracts, expendable money. You know what I'm saying? It's like the network is there. We just got to kind of put it together. And that's just one part of it. You know what I'm saying? That's just speaking from athletics and shit.
Yeah. And then when it comes to investments, like I said, that money could go right back into a situation like that Freedom Initiative group.
Yeah.
Because it's just investments. You'll invest in it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, instead of crying and complaining and stuff like that about how another group of people is treating you, the solution, which is the part of the game that nobody likes to play, the solution is to build a reality outside of them. And that's how you're protected. That's literally how you're protected. And now, here's a situation in central Georgia where it can happen. And we will keep our eyes on it and see how it plays out. And the funny thing about it, the Ashley Walters woman, she lives in Stonecrest, Georgia. And Stonecrest, Georgia is a newly incorporated city in Atlanta. So she's living in a city that was created. There wasn't a Stonecrest, Georgia 10 years ago or 5 years ago or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember how long it's been incorporated. But the point is, she lives in a newly created city. You see what I'm saying? So she already see how that can work and function and how that works. So now these black people created another city. Well, it's in the beginning stages of creating a city. And then, like I said, we'll follow it up and we'll see how it goes. We'll see the outcome of it.
It's probably going to be a long-term plan. Something that's overnight. You know what I'm saying? So we also always speak to that it might be something that don't get fully realized in your lifetime, but you may start it. So, these two people, let's say 100 years from now, it's successful and the town's flourishing, there'll be statues in the town or something like that. You know what I'm saying? They'll be remembered as the pioneers of, starting that town. And shit. Like, the legacy statues, that is attached books. To that, that's, to be able to, leave
street
the
name
earth and have that type of legacy attached to you, that's dope.
Your family and shit like that, you now becomes the, whatever your last name is and shit, you know what I'm saying? When people honoring that, because it's like, yo, schools named after you and all kind of shit. Yeah. Yeah, see, what happened with us is we look at white people doing it, and then because we're stuck in an inferior position, all we could do is hate on it. And the bad part about hating on what white people do, right, is when we do this, we end up hindering our capabilities. What I mean by that is this. If we sit over here now, for example, if white people said, we're going to get a piece of land, even though they have their own towns, you get what I'm saying? But let's say white people said, "Yo, we're gonna have our own town where white people could just be white." Now, other races can come. That's no problem. You know what I'm saying? But this is where whites can be white. First thing we're gonna say is that's racist. That's racist. They shouldn't be able to do that. But then what happened is when we say that, then what we're also saying is neither can we. You dig what I'm saying? And it's like we can't sit there and keep attacking.
Oh, we don't want that.
Oh, we don't want that. You know what I'm saying? But that's something that we need. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I was listening to the news, and this white guy said he wanted to start an all-white basketball league. I mean, not league, team, right?
Right.
And you know, black people got mad. And I'm like, why would you get mad? Why don't you just whoop their ass? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an all-white basketball team. If you're saying black people dominate in basketball, why wouldn't you just play them and dominate? You get what I'm saying? But it's like
create your team.
And just dominate. Yeah, just crush them. As soon as they walk inside the damn court, they're gonna laugh and be like, a white team. You see what I'm saying?
We beat them with street ball players. They got a street ball team for them.
See, but what happened is when we stop being and thinking like that and moving like that, what end up happening is we don't become the best of who we are. So then this white team will come in, and this white team will whoop them black play asses because they coming in thirsty, hungry. They coming in as the underdog. They coming in with something to prove. So they want to dominate. They want to take over, and then we fall. You know what I'm saying? And it's like then we want to now feel some type of way over their dominance because they beat us, and it's like, no, go back to the drawing board, find out what you did wrong, and then go back up there and fight again. But no, we're not built like that no more. Now we're built where we want to say we're dealing with systematic racism, and the solution is to live in the system and work within the system. Not destroy it, not conquer it, not take it over. Just turn down the racism and let us work within the same system that you're saying is destroying us. Shit makes no sense. Why? Because we lost that edge. We lost the edge because we don't compete anymore. We don't compete anymore because there's nothing for us to fight for. There's nothing for us to fight for because we don't have an economy. And it's always going to be the problem. When we decide to build, just like the 19 families, those 19 families with the acres have something to fight for. You dig what I'm saying, Smoke?
Right.
They have something to fight for. Acres of land. 96.71. Huh?
No, I thought I was on mute and you couldn't hear me. Well, I wasn't. Oh.
Yeah, it's like they have something to fight for, those acres of land. When there's a politician coming in there, they listening to these politicians. You know why? Because whatever type of shit they're trying to pass and shit, that might affect their land.
What they could do with it.
You see what I'm saying? So now politics is important. Voting is important. Now I need to know where you stand on certain agendas. If you're not doing what I'm paying you and put you up there and voted you in office to do, guess what? Not only am I calling, I'm walking my ass up there. Why? Because I have land. I have shit to fight for. What do black people have to fight for now? Nothing. That's why we sit around and shit and just, our vote don't count. It don't make no sense to vote because, shit, the president is selected, not elected. Yeah, no, these are people talking who don't have nothing to play for. Like, there's no skin in the game. So there's no importance in it. There's no skin. That's like watching the stock market go up and down, Smoke, but you don't invest. Yeah. So it don't mean nothing.
You're just watching.
You're just watching. But see, since you play in the game, when you see that alert come across, you clicking on, you want to read and be like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Because you know you got skin in the game. You see what I'm saying? These 19 families have skin in the game. So when they're talking economics, political, social, industry, police force, taxes, what percentage of taxes, you know what I'm saying? All of this means something because it's something real that they're dealing with. We don't get it because there's nothing real that we're dealing with because we don't have an economy. Without an economy, then what are you fighting for? Individual wants and needs. And once you have individual wants and needs, then guess what? We're not a monolith. And then you can divide us by these stupid-ass agendas. Because now I'm fighting for ice cream and you fighting for pizza. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like stupid, silly shit. You know what I'm saying? You can fight for dumb shit and not fight for the group. All because there's no economy. But I got a caller. Let me get this caller in. Caller 647-204. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Patrick, how you doing? Calling from Toronto.
What's going on, Patrick?
Nothing. You guys are talking some good stuff tonight. I think one of the things that the 19 families that bought the land. I'll just touch on some of the topics that you guys talked about. But the 19 families that bought the land, I think what they're showing is the ability to just buy land, get together and buy land. Now, what they want to do with it, I don't think we should be pinning our hopes because that's their land, and they're going to do with it what they will. So I think one of the things, and the other brother brought up this thing with the players and athletes, I think one of the things that we have to not do is to start pinning what we think should be done on people just because they have money or just because they're able to achieve something. The basketball players work hard for the money that they have, and they're going to use it however they see fit. What happens is when you get money, people say, well, you should do this and we should do that. No, we have to do, if we want to get something done, the first thing we need to do is figure out exactly what we want. That closed-door session, that figuring out what we want and just using Neely Fuller's, people activity, economics, entertainment, education, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and war, what do we want in all of those? What does a new place look like for us? If we do buy land, what does it look like? Right? What does all of those things look like? Sunny day scenario, and you can draw the most happy path thing that you want. I mean, unicorns traipsing through the grass. I mean, whatever you want to draw. Because once you have a vision and a picture of it, now you can start building a plan to get it. But if you don't have that vision, if you don't sit down and figure out what it is you want in detail, in some detail, it doesn't have to be to the lowest level detail, but in some detail, then there's no way you can build a plan to get it. Right. And as far as being able to follow, something, we're not all a monolith. But, again, as Neely Fuller says, it's the idea that should be the leader. Yeah. If you have a number of families that are around and you say, well, we think that we should have our own space and our school should look like this and then the curriculum should be like this and the children should be able to play safely and be unmolested by outsiders and that kind of thing. Now we can coalesce around an idea, not around a person.
Right.
And you can't kill them. Now, a person can be bribed, a person can be co-opted, a person can be set up or just killed. But when you coalesce around an idea, there's nothing people can do with that, right? Exactly. You can't kill the idea. So I think that's one of the things that we need to figure out, what it is that we want, solidify that around an idea, and then work towards it, right? And I'm sure that you guys have noticed that there's a lot of people that want to talk about what's being done to us and the history of what's been done to us, and they'll have that conversation all day long. I mean, no problem. But when it comes to, hey, okay, let's break this thing up into these sections, and let's talk about what kind of land we want. Do we want it to be arable land? Does it need to be farmable? Does it need to be blah, blah, blah? When you start talking about getting into meeting on the details and start figuring out exactly what it is that we want, everybody falls away. Because that's that's the work. Those are the details.
You ain't lying. Definitely.
You know what I mean? They'd rather talk about what's being done to us. They'd rather do that as opposed to having a meeting, doing the hard work to figure this thing out, what we want. And that's one of the things I've just noticed. People have energy for talking about this and history, and history is very, very important. I'm not saying that it's not, and I'm not saying that it should not be discussed, but, I mean, how many more years do we need to talk about what's being done to us? And another thing, trying to feign surprise at this thing that's happening to us, as men, I'm not going to talk about the women and the children, but as men,
exactly.
How long do we need to keep faking that we're surprised because they shot another one of us? We've been going through this through slavery.
Yeah,
exactly.
And guess what, guys? It's going to happen again.
I agree.
Probably next week or the week after. And you know what?
Probably
black
right
guys
now.
are going to say? Can you believe this is happening? Did you see what's happening? I'm like, what are you talking about? This is happening.
This ain't nothing new.
But I think we do that because of fear.
Definitely.
We feign this surprise because we got nothing.
Yeah. We don't have a plan. There's no plan of action,
we ain't got,
like you were saying.
We ain't got we have no plan to do it. And so instead of doing what really we should be doing, we should be turning to our women and be like, yo, we got nothing. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they're going to keep saying we ain't got nothing. But instead of being honest, we try to feign surprise and anger every time it happens, instead of just saying, you know what, ladies, we ain't got nothing yet. It's our intention to get something. We're about to start working on this, but we got nothing.
But as of now, as of now,
right?
And that's the thing that's important, because this situation, what we're dealing with never stopped. So that means that the people that's doing this to us, they're constantly creating strategies and plans to keep us in a certain situation. So I always ask myself, where is our counter argument? Where is our counter plan? Where is our solution to the problem? We can't, because like you said, and Booker T. Washington said it also, that there's a group of, how did he say it? There's a group of black people that basically benefit off of exploiting the problems and the issues that black people deal with, and they don't want to solve it, and they don't want us to get better because now they can benefit off of our suffering.
Their job is gone.
Their job is gone, yeah. And it's like, that's really what it is, because in America, this is a capitalistic society. So I always say the only way for black Americans, particularly, to be protected in America is to have our own economy. And when I'm saying this to people, it's like, it's foreign. Like, what do you mean our own economy? And I have to remind people, Chinese Americans have their own economy. East Indians have their own economy. Arabs have their own economy. They don't rely on another group of people for food, clothing, shelter. Black Americans have to. Continue, yeah.
I agree, but the economy doesn't come first. The morals and the values and the wants of the people and the group come first. The economy is then built around that to support that. If we don't have that, then what are you building the economy around?
I have to challenge you on that one. I have to challenge you on that one. I wonder what society is in Canada? Because I know we're capitalistic. So what is your society?
I'm actually American. I'm just up here now working. So,
okay.
In the United States, what you have is you don't have true capitalism. You have a mix. You have a mix of different things, right? So, like Social Security is actually a socialist program, kind of, sort of, right? You know, and capitalism, true capitalism, at least as it was taught in university, to me, true capitalism is supposed to be 100% fair. There's not supposed to, the government is not supposed to lean on any winners or losers or anything like that, and that's all the government does in the United States. I mean, too big to fail is a socialist. It is a socialist communist concept that has nothing to do with being fair, loaning money to only the biggest corporations.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's like you're cheating, basically.
When you fail,
you're cheating the game.
You fail. In true capitalism, when you fail, you fail. See ya. And then the next people come along to fill the space. But that's kind of not what we have. In Canada, it's more socialist.
Right.
Of course. The way they do things is more socialist. And it's very interesting when people who come around, you know, now you got black people coming around talking about socialism. Like, really? You're warming that thing up again? You know, because white people are telling you to? You know, things like that's ridiculous. And, you know, people are starting to warm that up in Africa now again, too. But my thing is this, and because I'm in technology, but my thing is this. When people say innovation, they mainly think technology.
Right.
But you can innovate in anything. You can innovate. You know, they teach us in school, so you can have communism, and you can have socialism, and you can have capitalism, and some variations between all three of those, and that's the only thing you can ever think about. So then when we talk about governments, that's the only thing we ever think about.
Right.
We never think, why don't we create something new?
Right.
That fits the way we want to live.
True.
That fits. You know, you talk about, you know, this land and all this. Why don't we think about a new way to govern, since the way that we're being governed now is not working for us?
Right.
Let's think of a new way, but before you even do that, we got to figure out what's our values, what are we trying to build, what is it that we want in the final analysis. And once we do that, you can build an economy around that. You can build governance around that. You can build a lot of things around it.
And I do
but
agree
we have
with
to figure that part out first.
Yeah,
that's one
thing.
So I know you said you disagreed, so I just want to hear your disagreement.
No, but I agree with you now, because if you are creating something new, then I agree with your concept. Because I was just talking on not recreating the wheel, just playing somebody else's game. But if I'm recreating the wheel and I'm creating something new, then no, you have to focus on the people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's your belief?
Your mentality.
Yeah, your mentality, like all of that. So I do agree with that, though. I do agree with that.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, because I didn't even think of that, you know, because I'm literally thinking, like you said, of just the systems
like
that they
basically once
give
we
us.
have that pride, then we're going to be able to invest in it once it's there, you know what I'm saying? Once we know what the goal is,
right,
then we can all invest to that goal, you know what I'm
saying? In 2008, somebody put out a paper, a white paper, which is an explanation paper, on a currency that's more fair than the currency that we have now. And it was basically really brought about by the collapse, the economic collapse. They talked about a currency that was pretty much anonymous, meaning you can buy and spend without somebody knowing who you are to buy and spend. You can send money to somebody else for free or near free anywhere in the world, and it's decentralized, meaning that there's no central authority that governs it. There's no government and anything like that governs this currency. And the whole decentralized idea was crazy. It was like, really? You want to do that? You can't do that. Because our minds are in a box, we said it can be done. Lo and behold, the developers got together and built something. few years later, they built something and they called it Bitcoin.
Right.
Immediately, Wall Street came out and said, this is crazy. No, years later, when it started to get bigger and bigger and bigger, Wall Street types, J.P. Morgan, Jamie Dimon, all those guys, oh, this is crazy. This is stupid. It grew a little bit more. It came from, this is not based on anything. It's worthless. A few years later, it's only used by criminals and drug dealers. I don't know any drug dealers that's dealing in Bitcoin. Every drug dealer I ever heard about takes the good old greenback, right? So they just start coming up with all this stuff. Today, J.P. Morgan has a Bitcoin trading desk. Visa and MasterCard are now coming out saying they want to do trading and they want to do Bitcoin and conversions in Bitcoin. You see what I mean? Something that somebody thought of that people thought was crazy, and all they wanted was to give people control of their money again. And a lot of people thought it was crazy, it was stupid, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. And another thing, Bitcoin is decentralized, and when the SEC wanted to come out against it, there was nobody to come out against. You know why? Because there's no corporation, there's no bank, there's no employees, there's no executive. And Bitcoin is all code. So how are you going to come after a code? And coding is just letters and numbers and symbols.
Right.
Now the SEC does it. They got nobody to come after.
That's crazy.
I mean, it was ingenious. Right? Now, the other points that came out after then, they did have people that were in charge and were in positions and around companies. The SEC came after them hard and, took them and extorted money from them. But Bitcoin had nobody. I mean, I just thought that was ingenious. So when I say being innovative, just figuring out what you want and then innovative ways to get it, to bring it about, to bring it into reality. And I think we have the ability to do it. I'm excited because I think that's something we will eventually do. I just don't want us to do it out of necessity. We're doing it out of necessity, but I don't want us to do it out of meaning the world is falling apart. Now we got to scramble to get something. I'd rather we do it beforehand and start getting things together. Now, in Georgia, around the U.S., there are towns for sale. All over the U.S., these small little one-horse towns, they got these little buildings and stuff like that, and people are snapping them up. Matter of fact, there's one town in Georgia. What's the name of it? Toomsboro.
No, that's the one with the 19 families. They got one in Toomsboro. Maybe they bought the same thing. There's a town for sale.
I think they said it was outside of Toomsboro.
Oh, outside.
Yeah.
Their town is like the land that they bought, from my understanding, was outside of that town. Like
the land, the town of Toomsboro, Georgia, is up for sale, and it's for about the same price of a typical San Francisco home. So Toomsboro, and it's 37 parcel property, 40 acres, is on sale, and all the buildings that are in the town and everything that comes with the town, the roads, everything. I mean, the town is abandoned, right? Like there's nobody there, but homes and stuff are still there. But you can buy it, and it's for $1.7 million. Now, that's nothing for 40 acres and buildings, and they got a little post office building there. I mean, there's just so much opportunity and things that we can do.
Right.
And I'm excited because I think that, just like these 19 families, people are going to start to do them.
Right.
Just like you brothers are talking. So it's exciting to hear you brothers even talk about it.
Oh, yeah. I was excited reading it because I like seeing the action. I don't like dwelling on the woe is me and some other group of people have control over me and we can't do nothing. I don't like that because as I get older and I meet new people and I'm listening to, even doing the Blog Talk Radio, and I'm listening to people talk, I'm not talking to drug dealers and welfare recipients and criminals. No, I'm talking to a lot of engineers, builders, you know what I'm saying, techs and black people that's doing something, and they're all like, hey, you know what? Nah, we can actually do something, and it's like that's the type of energy and focus I want out there because I want the youth to hear that and not to think, oh, we're being beat down and destroyed. Nah, we're making moves. It may not be being highlighted, but we're making moves.
Yeah, and the blueprint there for other people to piggyback.
Yeah, I would love to have a small town, man. Even though as beat up and raggedy as it may be, I would love to be in a small town and move there. And I would love to do something like that, man. To start, man. I mean, working on something like that is going to be, it's going to be some work, right?
Yeah.
We got to get the roads together. We got to get these old buildings. Yeah. We got to get these old buildings up to code and all that kind of stuff. And but it's work, but it's happy work, man. I'd love to do that kind of work. If I can see, and when you see progress, when you start to see, you fix up the, this old office, which would be the town building or something, or I don't know, and you start putting paint on the outside, you just step back and look at it, it's like, man, you know what I mean? Like, that's
it'd be a beautiful thing.
Progress.
Yeah.
You put your work into it.
It's a beautiful thing.
And you have all kind of energy. You have all kind of energy for it.
Because it's not talk and it's not the past. So it's not me telling you a fantasy story, and then it's not me showing you when it happened back in the day. You're living in the moment now, and that's where the beautiful thing happened. And then you got to think about it too. Besides building your economy with, through manufacturing and creating stuff so you can buy, sell, and trade and stuff to generate money for the town, you also have the allure of being a black town that's going to attract black people to the town, and black people spend money. So it's like that money will pour in, and hopefully the town spreads. So there's more towns across the United States, and one town isn't just having to accommodate the black world. It's more black towns and more black cities, and it expands to the point where now we can be places where we feel safe and we can thrive, and our unemployment rate can drop because we can control our, unemployed. It's like, it's a lot of things that can be done, and it would be beautiful for another 100, 200 years from now where we're having those type of anniversaries. And, like Jamaica have their 50th anniversary and, things like that. You can have black Americans finally being able to breathe and have anniversaries of real freedom. When we celebrate in Juneteenth, it could really mean slavery's over, you know what I'm saying, and not just symbolically, you know what I'm saying. It could be real. So that's a beautiful thing, man. That's a beautiful thing.
Can you imagine that? We're in the town and we got our agriculture going right on the edge. You know what I mean? And everybody's paying for I know I'm about to get $500 a year, but I want my mango. I want my, you know what I mean? Like I want everything. Like I can give the farmer. We can give the farmer the money up front. You know what I mean? Or we can give the farmer money, and then we just come and get our bushels of whatever we ordered. Like it's so much.
Because you control that. You control the economy.
Exactly.
You control all of that.
Right. So that's where the economy comes in, because it's different. So if you're saying building an economy, buying a small town and then building an economy around that is going to look different than building an economy mainly online. Let's say we said we're just going to start doing stuff online. It all depends on what you want to do, and then the economy serves your interest, your economic and financial interest. It's there to as an ecosystem to serve you and what you want to do, not the other way around.
Correct. Yeah, I totally agree with that. But yeah, we got another call on, but appreciate the call. Call anytime. You know what I'm saying? We go ahead and give you a piece of the call. All right, caller. We got caller 864-340. What's your name and where you calling from?
Peace and Black Power. This is E. Cornelius. I'm calling from South Carolina. How's everybody?
What's going on, brother?
Yeah, repeat call.
Nothing much. This is an interesting discussion. And as you guys were speaking, I couldn't help but to, think back as you guys were speaking about the past, and talking about creating infrastructure, creating society, creating, in some cases, some would say a nation, right? A lot of people. But, as it relates to the European, we must actually be honest with ourselves. How likely would that be of us creating a nation within a nation? And, let us not forget our ancestors that have, paved the way in doing those things. Those ancestors that have laid down the very foundation to create civilizations that ran for thousands and thousands of years, right? And what you guys are speaking on is very, very important. But I can't help but to know, and especially looking at the current day dynamic, when you see a white criminal wielding a handgun, or with a knife, being taken down politely, right? When you see the white boy that just left out of a school killing over 24 people, he being politely taken out in handcuffs. But, we get taken down for speaking loudly, we get killed in such an inhumane, unjust way. I can't help but to be reminded of the stories of Emmett Till, of the stories of George Stinney, when we're talking about the same system was created off the backs of our ancestors. And, even as we're talking about creating infrastructure, the importance of having our own safety or having our own protection, that would be very important, because a lot of infrastructure that has been created by us as black folk in the past, and mind you, I don't feel like things are and have changed, right? Here, fast forward 60 years later, we're still getting hung in trees, we're still getting, shot down like dogs, on public TV now, right? That's the only thing that's changed. Rather than it being word of mouth, now you get to see this almost live, or it's damn near happening in real time. So just being honest with myself, looking at places like Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we had great infrastructure, where we had an overwhelming amount of black businesses, black community, black society. And it was that one thing that happened, that one monkey wrench that was thrown intentionally that caused chaos, that caused all of that which we worked so hard to create to now be destroyed. And a lot of times, most times, it's not a thing that's being taught to our children intentionally in the history books, right? Because somebody is still throwing the rock and holding their hand. You understand? So I question even myself as I have the same excitement in creating this day or creating this type of thing for us in the tomorrow for our children. What person is or what people are lying dormant in the background, ready to sabotage, as they've always done. You understand? As they've always been allowed to do. And of course we're not going to play the boogeyman, but just being honest, right? Just being honest, with the Rick. You guys remember Ric Flair, right? You remember his dirty style of fighting, his dirty style of, his dirty tactics. So I think it would kind of be naive to go into the ring, even with us and our brute power and our greatness, to be naive to this tricky rat. You understand? And I can't, you guys remember back in, I think it was either North or South Dakota, when they talk about the Native Americans and the land that they had, But you know, the National Guard, military forces were actually employed. I think they were putting water. They were shooting the natives or those guys with tear gas, and they were basically standing up for their right to protect their land. And like I said, these are just questions. I'm definitely not wayward from what you guys are talking about, but just
no.
You know, because I'm a chess player, and in playing chess, I want to look at my opponent as who and what he really is. And looking at America, man, America to be what it is today has only gotten that way by putting his foot on our back. Even when we look at the industrial prison system, you know, looking at how the prison complex has actually been run off the backs of us as black folks. So many black men are being let out now, and that because they've been wrongly convicted, been locked up for 40 years, you know, and you're finding out that the law enforcement divisions have been very crooked, very unfair. The LAPD, they, you know, are actually infiltrated and got Nazis in them. So, you know, I'm just a one want to look at that as it relates to us building this type of tomorrow that we really want to be and be substantial and long live.
See, this how I would answer the question. I would answer it coming from the good brother Carlos Cooks. His book is called Carlos Cooks and Black Nationalism. So this is on page 30, The American Tradition. During the tenure of chattel slavery in the United States, the principal source of rebellion against the slave system came from blacks who had been sold into slavery from other slave areas, such as South America and the West Indies, as inconquerables. The most noteworthy among them was Gabriel, who led a rebellion in 1800. Denmark Vesey led a bloody insurrection in 1822. Nat Turner organized and led a violent attack on the slave system in 1831. Joseph Finke led a fairly successful mutiny on the Amistad in 1839. The other rebellions here mentioned were abortive. The period of 1840 to 1863 saw a great deal of controversy surrounding the issue of the slave system and its continuation. Many factors influenced this retrieval, mainly the French in Haiti, the advent of the industrial age, and the realization that if the slave trade continued, one day the blacks would outnumber the whites. That could result in another Haiti. At no time did the white man have a sense of consciousness as to the great moral wrong of slavery itself and the inhumane cruelties that it inflicts upon the black man. So on that part, the way I look at that is the system is always in its design to try to destroy us, and we have to design ourselves to fight back. So even if we understand that creating this black town or trying to create this utopia or trying to create this economy or this system that we want to create now to sustain us, it's going to get attacked from the outside. And we have to be prepared for that and always fight, because that's our tradition now. Because the white man tradition is to destroy the black man. So we have to develop a tradition to counter that and to protect ourselves and to destroy him back and to try to conquer him. You know, like we can't always just dwell on him attacking us. You know,
it's like what you said earlier, that the different groups would be into that. So like, you know, when you had the minds coming together to like buy cities and create things, then we would have our military minds that come together and formulate a system. The last brother that was on was talking about creating a new system. So we create a system of defense. You know, it should be coming that we all learn weaponry. You know what I'm saying? Man, woman, and child.
That's right.
We should all be learning because those are the ventures
guns.
that we're gonna be taking on to where we may have to defend ourselves. We creating the town. We're gonna need that defense. So, we can't really make an answer in this, call. But just going back in the call, in the show, it's like those minds that went through the system of the Army or the Navy, any of these military systems, or even self-training on a military level. Those minds need to come together so that we can be defense and protect our necks, basically. But on an individual level, we should be teaching our kids how to use weaponry, how to protect themselves.
That's right.
What different guns are. And things like that. Even different tactics of, if a crowd is surrounding you, what do you do? Or, things like that. Or just learning to move in packs when we need to and things of that nature. Just those becoming common knowledge. So that was the thing that we could do, like, on an individual level. But for, like, on a mass level, our military minds and those brothers that have that knowledge base, those brothers and sisters can come together to create that system that we need, to defend ourselves. And then once that blueprint is there for that first city, for City A, then everybody else has that blueprint that we can build on. Any chinks in the armor, we can correct that and have that for, further cities or, whatever the case is.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Go ahead,
Can
bro.
I ask you guys a question? At the root of culture, of course you find cult or, it's synonymous or it has the similarities with cultivation, right? Agriculture, growing. I couldn't help but to think as, some of the things that we should be teaching our children, teaching them how to grow their own food, how to kill their own food, right? Should be very important. But how important do you guys think it would be in sustaining this type of tomorrow, this type of atmosphere, to have this type of movement? How important do you think it would be to destroy the quote-unquote anti-culture that we have, or where the WAP, W-A-P, Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B, that's the number one. That's the number one. So rather than teaching our children to watch, look, and listen to things around you, we're teaching them to, or not us, but our people are teaching them how to twerk and how to do, some of the silliest of silliest things. And I can't but weaponry. How important do you think it is to destroy that mind state or mindset in order to have this tomorrow and create the effectiveness within it?
It's very important. I think it's just half of the problem, you know what I mean? Because I feel like if we build the systems that are anti to, these problematic traits or characteristics that we carry, like if we build the anti that, then, twerking, that'll become corny. You know what I mean? It'll be something like, I don't got time to twerk. Like, what is that? Our women will be making money or, building their crafts. They won't have time to twerk. You know what I mean? But I think at the same time, has to be a certain level of attacking it in the sense of, not making it cool no more. Even before, these institutions get established, you have to make it not cool to, be a drug dealer or be a, be a whore. You know what I mean? Those things have to be, corny. Like, our kids have to be raised up to say, that we not with that. We on the building and things like that. So I think it's 50-50. You know what I mean? It's 50-50, and, like, depending on who you are, you might take either angle.
The word I was going to say is just breed it out. Just breed it out your children. You know what I'm saying? Because the way I look at it, it might be seen different, but the way I look at it is you're built and you're designed to deal with the time that you're living in. So you just have to breed a lot of that stuff out. If you know you come from a environment where you might have committed crimes and stuff like that and been in and out of jail before you got knowledge yourself, when you have your child, you breed that out of your child. No criminality here. No, you know what I'm saying? Like me, I have bad speech, you know what I'm saying? Bad grammar, all of that. But with my children, they 5 and 7, when my sons are talking, they can't use a lot of slang and bad grammar. I always correct their speech. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because I want them to speak better than me. So it's like, I feel like if we want a lot of that change to happen, we have to because a lot of times we want our children to be little versions of us. So we want them to be tougher than us. We want them to be more gangster than us. You know what I'm saying? When we have to change that and make them more brilliant than us and more secure in who they are and confident and, you know, things of that nature. But sometimes it's hard to teach that when you don't have that within yourself either. So I just feel like if we want to see a lot of change, we have to breed. And it's like what Smoke said. When you're breeding it out your child, you're making it corny, where it's like they're not looking at doing wrong as cool. They're looking at doing wrong as weak because my father told me that I'm supposed to be strong for my race, and my purpose is to strengthen my race. So going to jail, that's corny because that's what the white man want me to. You see what I'm saying? So once you breed that into your child, naturally doing wrong is going to be anti-black. If you teach that to your child, that it's anti-black. If you teach your daughter that these girls showing their ass and highlighting their genitals for profit, that's not what a woman do. That's what a whore do. Then your daughter gonna be like, yeah, and I'm not no whore, so that's corny to me. But a lot of the girls that see that and attracted to that is because they're looking for attention, and because they don't know what they're supposed to do, they're looking at TV and TV saying, well, do this. So for us to change that, we just have to you know what it is? We got to weaponize our children. We have to weaponize our children and make them the generation that's going to be able to fight against the system. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our children walk into the battle blind because the parents don't teach them because they're too scared. They're like, you know what? My child, well, how old is do you teach your child about race and stuff? I'm like, I teach my child that shit 2 years old, 1 year old. I let them know. Hell no, we're not playing with no police cars, none of that stuff. We don't do police over here. I let them know what it is from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Because my thing is this: I don't want you to believe into the lie and then get shocked by it because nobody told you. I'd rather let you know from the gate. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we got to weaponize our children. Yeah, and let our children know when you're in school, your purpose of school is to be great so you can better your race and your family, not for you to be a part of the system. Go ahead, brother.
No, I was just going to say, and I think it's very, because as you guys were talking, I'm like, man, all of the main pop culture and culture that you see is pretty much what? Male dominated, right? Yeah. Whether it be football, everything that's basically alluring and drawing attention is dominated by males, even on the TV screen, on the movie screen, you know, in the music industry, R&B, you know, rap, hip-hop, everything that we can think of a lot of times is dominated by males. And us as men, as you're talking, as you're teaching, you know, you brought up the idea of you or us individually teaching our children, but the importance of actually having enforcements, communal enforcements, where other children, where it's not only just you bringing this level of accountability to the culture, but where your neighbors, where we create groups that are now communities, like how men create groups to sit down and watch football and watch basketball. Right. You understand? We have to create communities around these types of ideas, around these around this mindset to help now cultivate the seeds in our children so that how they can see it's real, so it does enforce that level of thinking and where they can say, well, hey, this is cool, because sometimes it's not really so cool when it's only me as daddy just saying it. They just look at me as daddy and, oh, man, that's boring. We know dad is boring anyway. But when the neighbor brings his child over, you know that now they're bringing the wives over and we're cooking food and we're having celebrations around this type of thinking, that thing is going to be, very important. As from what and those are some of the small steps that I'm seeing is going to take in order to get us genuinely, organically to that place of coming up in where we can have that sustainable city, that sustainable township, that sustainable community where we are, you know what I'm saying, where we develop ourselves and building ourselves as individuals, then in our family, and then in our community.
Yes, and that's what the brother from Toronto said. That's what he said. That's why when he explained it again and that's why when he explained it again and he said that they just give you the three, the capitalism, socialism, and communism, and it's like you got to pick that, but it's like, why not? Just be innovative and create your own, and when you're creating your own, that deals with the people. And so when he's breaking it down like that, I'm like, okay, so now I'm hearing where you're coming from with that. That's why when he said, but you said you disagree, and I'm like, nah, I don't disagree anymore, because I'm not an argumentative type person, you know what I'm saying? If you make a point, and I'm like, wow, okay, I understand where you're coming from, there's nothing else for me to say. I understand where you're coming from, You made your point perfect. Right. I have no rebuttal for that. And it all came right back around, and then you turned around and said the same thing, because, yes, those small aspects does change the culture of the people and how we interact and how we deal with each other. And like I said earlier, we have to teach that to our children, so we can weaponize our children so our children work for us, right? So for us, these organizations within the community, what you got to do is, listen, we have to make our righteousness just as gangster as the gangsters doing wrong.
Right.
You see?
That's right.
Our righteousness has to be just as gangster. And that's the thing that black men have to stand on now. Like, we got to, when we move in now, that's how it has to be. All aggression, but it's righteous. Because that's how you're going to push out the wrong. There's the end. You know what I'm saying? We live in a violent world, so let that violence be righteous, though. Let it be a righteous cause. You know what I'm saying? You're right.
Cold.
Like,
absolutely.
And that,
have codes.
Exactly. And we need to be on it like that. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're saying you're sick and tired of it and you want change, then you got to force that. The same way the negative energy forced its way on us, we have to do the opposite. Slavery forced its way on us. It wasn't pleasant. You know what I'm saying? So just like when I read in Carlos Cook's book, all these brothers fought. Gabriel led the revolution in 1800. Then Mark Vesey, Nat Turner, John Sinke fought, led rebellions. We fought, and after a while, these whites started to look and said, damn, you know what? We're going to have to ease up on this slavery shit because they're going to end up outnumbering us. They're using strategy and maneuver. They're not using emotion. They don't care how we feel. So we can't look at it emotionally. We can't look at it as, oh, if we teach white people about slavery, they'll understand. They know about it. Everybody knows what's going on except us. So it's like the ones of us that do know, our righteousness have to be gangster. We can't play no games. We have to stand on truth. We have to educate the babies and keep them on truth. You know what I'm saying? Because all the lies or the fantasies or that stuff like that's not working. Just like you said, with the community, we have to celebrate. and champion righteousness. We have to have the people come over and celebrate and cookouts and stuff, no different than the bangers do. Celebrate their shit. You know what I'm saying? You have to celebrate your righteousness and let the babies be like, yo, I like celebrating righteousness, yo. Yo, they just celebrating this dude. He just got a 4.0, yo. That's why they celebrating. He got all these college, you know what I'm saying? He's got a trade. He just
they want to participate.
Yeah, now I want to be like him. He the big homie. This brother who just got his third business, he's the big homie. He's an investor. That's the big homie. He's an entrepreneur. He's an engineer. That's the big homie over here. They're part of the 19 families who brought the property, the black property in Toomsboro. That's the big homies, not people that just came home from jail from doing 30 years in jail, and now I came home and now I'm a big homie, and all the little heads looking at me, praising me because I just came home from prison. Like, the hell you praising me for? I should be embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? That y'all little babies appreciate me for coming home. No. Let my big homies create something. You know what I'm saying? Why do I look up to this man here? Because this man here, he knows all the big politicians in my city. He got control over all the economic wealth in this community, and he makes sure all the resources come down to the people. That's why we respect that man over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, our righteousness got to be gangster. And that's my mind.
And I say now we see it makes a whole lot of sense why they are employing young black boys and giving them, $1 million deals to come out here and rap and sing about, selling drugs and disrespecting, creating this anti-culture.
Small,
you know what I'm saying? Now that is definitely a part of warfare,
Exactly.
So where they don't have to come out and do these things, well, we are now going to embed ourselves with this type of mentality and do it ourselves. We're doing their dirty work.
Yeah, because it went from each one teach one. It went from putting your hand out and pulling your brother up to was it fuck the world, don't ask me for shit. You better get yours. I got mine, you better get yours. That's the 90s. I got mine, you better get yours. Fuck the world, don't ask me for shit. The late 80s, each one teach one. Pull your brother up. And I remember seeing a transition to that. So the same way that change happened with no permission, you got to change it back with no permission. You know what I'm saying? You got to change it back with no permission. And that got to be the energy for black men in particular. Black women definitely got to be on board with that because they're really running the show of the house. So the ones who single and got the children, they have to really understand, you got to really be on board with this blackness. But the black men walking around, the young black men with children, no children, you have to understand. If you're moving righteous, your righteousness have to be gangster, and you have to understand that you're in the middle of a war. This isn't a make-believe race war. Yeah, you're in the middle of a war.
It's warfare. What you want to dance and sing during wartime, or you want to be prepared?
I do want to be prepared. Look, what we doing? We running around here getting high off syrup and pills and all kind. No, you should be jogging. You should be getting your health together. You should be reading, getting caught up in trades and all kind of stuff like that. We have to get serious. We're so behind that we think we're in the front. We don't know that all these other groups lapped us. We ahead. No, we gotta run around them at least 3 more times before we get ahead. Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like we're in this position because we're listening to people that don't like us give us advice. We already know what it is. Our people wrote books. Booker T. Washington, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Elijah, Marcus Garvey, Carlos Cooks. Everybody wrote books. Amos Wilson, Nellie Fuller. Everybody wrote books. Everybody, I'm forgetting people. Francis Cress Wilson, forgetting people. Everybody wrote books. Everybody told their experience. Right. Everybody knows. It's not a secret. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Smoke.
Yeah, we're in the information age. It's all there. So we could continue to just live in the history, like the first brother was saying. But that's where these pointless positions, these pointless representatives of Black America, that's where they thrive at, in the problem. You know what I'm saying? So we just have to be on the solution side of things. And, you know, the two callers, they highlighted that. And, you know, we try to highlight that, you know, as a vibe of our show. You know what I'm saying? The solution. Right. And we believe in an economy-based solution. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, you know, those two brothers, they pretty much are on that same wavelength. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to hear that. But as long as we keep living in the problems, it's like we're not going to get anywhere. You know what I mean? We got to start to solve things.
Speaking of the problems, Smoke, you mentioned Kentucky, right? A couple of minutes ago, right? So this is the New York Times, right? Pull out of the Kentucky Derby, pressure on Black owner mounts. In any other year, Greg Harbert would be enjoying the achievements of a lifetime. On Saturday, he will watch his horse Nectar Island into the starting gate for the 146th running of the Kentucky Derby, a moment of pride for his family that over the generations have built its success in the thoroughbred business. His grandfather, Tom, bred and owned a horse that ran in the 1962 Derby. Yeah, I was like, Tom bred, damn.
I hate bread.
And his great-grandfather, Will, once graced the cover of the Saturday Evening Post alongside the magnificent athlete he cared for, the great man of war. But this isn't like any other year. Harbert is the rare black horse owner in the sport that is amongst the whitest in America. Now he is hearing calls that he should boycott America's most famous race. With the Derby taking place at Churchill Downs in Louisiana, Kentucky, the city in which Breonna Taylor was fatally shot in her apartment in March, became a focus of the Black Lives Matter movement. A coalition of activist groups had called for a boycott of the race and its sponsor Saturday. Demonstrations are planned at the track, and Harbert and his team said civil rights activists had privately urged him to follow the lead of professional basketball and baseball players who boycott their own games and stay away from the race. But how, Harbert asked, can you be expected to give up his hard-won seat in the owner's box beneath Churchill Town iconic twin spires? His grandfather, Tom, could not even sit in the grandstand to watch the 1962 Derby. Harbert, 35, himself has endured slights that make him feel like an outsider in the sport. When he shows up in the paddock before a race, he noticed the sidelong glance of a fellow owner and gets the occasional query about what pro team he plays on or what movie he was in. It happened last month in West. So then he goes into his story. So I ain't gonna get into all of that shit. But me personally, I disagree. I don't think he should. I don't think he should pull out.
No, he needs to win.
I think he should win. Exactly. I think he should win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it's kind of a significant race, if I'm not mistaken. It's a horse that's racing for the Triple Crown. So if that horse don't win, like the winning horse gonna break that up unless he actually achieve it. I don't know the joint, but I was thinking about placing a bet on it. I didn't even know this. I didn't even know it was a black owner. So you tapping me into some information.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
I'm gonna bet on this horse.
Here. Yeah, shit. You know what I'm saying? Shit, that'll get
I'm
me
about to
into
go
the
check
horse.
it on DraftKings and see if they got that on there. I think they do.
Hey, yo, if you see it, let me know. Let me know. I'm going to check it, too, but you know me, I'm more of a procrastinator, so I ain't trying to miss out.
Yeah, see, I got, like, FanDuel and all that, so I usually be paying for, like, the, like basketball and all that stuff. But I haven't been playing lately, so, yeah, I'm going to check it, though. Yeah, Bet the Derby. That shit is on there. Bet the Derby.
All right. So then we're going to talk about the next one right here, too. Breonna Taylor ex-boyfriend offers plea deal if he will claim Taylor was part of the organized crime syndicate. So they're going to say that Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend, Jamarcus Glover, they're going to tell him basically, you're going to do 10 years in jail, or say she was your trap queen and shit, and she was out here fucking moving packs and shit for you, and you can get probation. So, you know what I'm saying? Good that Glover turned down the plea deal, so that shows you he stand up. And you know what I'm saying? So it just showed the links. And the shit that's crazy about the whole shit is, the number one thing I used to ask myself about that story was, yo, why they not talking to the fucking the current boyfriend? Why they keep on talking about the ex-boyfriend all the time? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, the current boyfriend is there. Why would a current boyfriend be dealing with this girl and she over here holding work and shit for her dude, for her ex-dude that sells drugs? And you know what I'm saying? Like, none of this shit even made sense, right?
So some grimy shit.
Yeah, so, you know what I'm saying? So then, and like I said, when the police, like I said, I don't trust police, period. You know what I'm saying? I don't trust police will recreate stories. Go ahead, Smoke.
No, I was just going to say, like, so we got to stop saying, like, the black man ain't protecting the black woman, because in these two cases, you got a man who bust shots at them, and then you got a brother who can get his time cut. He like, nah, I can't do that.
Like,
so, like, you know what I mean?
You know what I'm
so give us some respect.
There ain't gonna be none. So they saying Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, though, he sued the police. And he's saying that shit, he didn't even shoot the officer, because one of the officers got shot. He's saying shit, the bullet wasn't even from him, from his gun. So he like, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend has filed a lawsuit saying he's a victim of police misconduct and seeking immunity from prosecution for firing a single shot that wounded a Louisville officer. Tonight, police broke into Taylor's apartment and killed her. The attorney for Kenneth Kenny Walker also said evidence indicated his client didn't fire the bullet that nearly severed the officer's femoral artery. We know police are firing wildly from various angles. The timeline and evidence at the scene is more indicative that the police actually shot that cop and not Kenny Walker. So they're saying that so he's seeking, you know what I'm saying, situations for that shit. He like, you know what I'm saying, so he's dealing with the whole shooting, dealing with that, his shorty got murked, and dealing with the, you know what I'm saying, a pending case or whatever. So he's trying to get all that shit dropped and shit. So he goes, Walker didn't. So he just basically replaying the story, saying how he didn't know it was police. Heard a loud boom, you know what I'm saying? He licked shots back at the door, you know what I'm saying? And that was pretty much it. If y'all listen to the audio, you hear that he didn't even fucking. The police wasn't even there. This dude called the police to report that somebody licked shots inside his door, and it killed his girl.
Right.
Police gone. So if police was there righteously and they kicked down the door, whatever, they lick shots. He licked shots back at them, and then they leave. No, the police would have still been there.
Right.
No, they left, and now they trying to tell the fucking the ex-boyfriend we already had fucking locked up when the damn when the shooting and all that shit happened. That say that she was part of the fucking your organization, and you won't do 10 years, you'll do probation. What I believe, Smoke, they went to rob him, and they said, he probably, you know what I'm saying? Like, he might have dropped something off over here, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna get into the relationship, you know what I'm saying, or whatever with that. But, and I feel like them cops ran on inside there because they thought maybe there was drugs and money in there. So they ran up inside there. They didn't know that there's a dude there. When the gun let off, they shot the shit up. She gets hit. They leave because they're not supposed to be there. They're talking about, the ex-boyfriend, we got video surveillance of him dropping money and drugs packages to her house. There was nothing in the house.
Right.
So what the hell are you talking about? What are y'all talking about? Nobody's co-signing your story. The only people that's saying this story is the police. Nobody's co-signing this fucking story. And that's what I'm like.
That's crazy.
And everybody keep repeating what the police say.
Yeah. Wicked shit.
Yeah. Police would recreate. Police will murder your ass, say you did something, and then you're going to see a fucking blurry image of a person that's supposed to be you doing it. It's like, that's fucked up. Like, that shit don't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe none of that shit. Another thing I want to talk about real quick, 25 more endangered children located as sex trafficking busts continue in 2 states. Days after the U.S. Marshals Service announced the rescue of 39 endangered children in Georgia, similar operations are ongoing in 2 other states as authorities target missing children. In Ohio, Operation SafeNet led to the discovery of 25 children ages 13 to 18 in less than 3 weeks. In 2 weeks, operations is underway near Indianapolis. Darby Kirby, chief of Marshall's Missing Children Unit, they said these operations are part of an effort at the local level to locate missing children rather than a coordinated nationwide sweep. Since 2005, the Marshal have helped recover 1,800 missing children for 15 years. They uncover 1,800 missing children, which is relatively low if you think about it. But, congratulations for that. You know what I'm saying? Watch your children and shit. A lot of kidnapping, a lot of fucking, you know what I mean? Like, damn.
Yeah, but also you realize, like, the stories that's put out. So you didn't hear much about that, even though the story's there. It's not like a big thing. You know what I mean? So just be mindful of the stories that you are hearing. He's making a big deal about something. You might want to question and pay attention to what's happening. But those are things that you do want to see, you know what I mean, in mainstream media. You know what I mean? So
it makes you wonder about the Wayfair conspiracy theories and shit. You know what I'm saying? But here's a conspiracy.
Right. $50,000 pillow.
You know what I'm saying? Name Ashley. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Ashley.
Rebecca Smith.
It's weird, but it's like, hey, pay attention.
Yeah, you know
what you really can do.
Yeah. Now here's another weird one. So they keep talking about they want black people and minorities to take the vaccine for the coronavirus, right? But then they saying like a lot of minorities and black people is not, they ain't really jacking that shit. They're like, I ain't with it. So they having a problem giving it to her. So watch this.
That information out there already.
So this story is from September the 2nd, right? The UN say new polio outbreak in Sudan caused by oral vaccine. The World Health Organization say a new polio outbreak in Sudan is linked to an ongoing vaccine spark epidemic in Chad, a week after the UN Health Agency declared the African continent free of the wild polio virus. So the whole continent of Africa don't have polio, right? And after that shit, these motherfuckers gonna infect them with polio again. Yeah, they wicked.
That's crazy.
They wicked.
Crazy. We're gonna vaccinate you just in case. Oh, now you got it. Come on, dog.
They wicked, yo. In a statement this week, the World Health Organization said 2 children in Sudan, one from South Darfur State and the other from Gedaref State, close to the border with Ethiopia and Eritrea, were paralyzed in March and April. Both had been recently vaccinated They were paralyzed in March and April. Both had been recently vaccinated against polio. So the vaccination they got against polio is how they caught polio. WHO said initially outbreak investigations show the case are linked to an ongoing vaccine-derived outbreak in Chad. An ongoing vaccine-derived outbreak in Chad that was first detected last year and is now spreading in Chad and Cameroon. There is local circulation in Sudan and continued sharing of transmission with Chad, the UN agency said, adding that genetic sequencing confirmed numerous introduction of the virus into Sudan from Chad. The World Health Organization say it had found 11 additional vaccine-derived polio. This is fucking retarded, yo. So the World Health Organization said it had found 11 additional vaccine-derived polio cases in Sudan, and that the virus had also been identified in environmental samples. There are typically many more unreported cases for every confirmed polio. The highly infectious disease can spread quickly in contaminated water and most often strikes children under 5. They said in rare instances, the live polio virus and the oral vaccine. Yo, listen to this dumb shit, Smoke. In rare instances, the live polio virus oral vaccine can mutate into a form capable of sparking new outbreaks. They're going to say in rare instances, meaning this is also a possibility, but it's rare. So let me go give you this fucking live polio virus so we can rid you of polio. And now this shit is an outbreak between Sudan and Chad. Like, this is, what kind of poppy show is this, man? This is fucking retarded, yo. I can't believe what I'm reading. And then they want to wonder why black people don't like to take these vaccinations and shit for these people. And then they want to ask this question, Smoke. Coronavirus in Africa. Science explores surprise explanation for low death rate. So they're going to say, is there a link between poverty, crowded accommodation, and Africa's bafflingly low infection and death rate from the pandemic? I said this early in the show, right, Smoke? During the pandemic. I said, why everybody mad that Africa's not dying from COVID? They show Asia, they got as high as 60,000. Europe got as high as about 30,000. North America got above 60,000, but then it dropped to like 30 now. The Middle East, which ain't nothing but North Africa, they got about 10,000. Latin, Caribbean, America got above 60,000. And Africa got about 5,000. They got real low. So now they want to ask the question and shit, why? Most African countries don't have a peak. I don't understand why. I'm completely at sea. One of the pandemic doctors is trying to figure out. Far fewer Africans live into their 80s, and so are likely more to succumb to viral. Oh, they're saying because the African population is so young. So maybe that's the reason why, that shit. Yeah.
You.
Well, you know what they're going to do? If they can't get you to die from COVID, they're going to put another virus inside there. Like I said, they giving them live polio. I never understand that shit. You're going to give me a virus that I don't have to protect me from the virus that I don't have? That makes no goddamn sense to me. That makes no sense. But what else I got? Yeah, South Africa. You said what?
So you end up getting some shit, trying to protect some shit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this shit makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the Africa story. Oh yeah, did you hear about the Black Lives Matter shit in Times Square? With the car plowing through. Yo.
Today?
Yeah, it was September 4th. Yeah, September 4th. It had either been the 3rd or the 4th. But the story I'm reading.
Well, no, I ain't hear about it.
Yeah, so they said a car plowed through the Black Lives Matter protest in Times Square. And in New York, the NYP had to deny accusations that it was one of their unmarked cars. But it was their unmarked cars. So there goes, a car plowed through the crowd of Black Lives Matter protesters in New York City Times Square Thursday night. Yes, that was yesterday night, but they're writing up the story now. So they say the New York City Police Department denied claims that the car was one of their unmarked vehicles. A New York representative said the force was asking the driver of the vehicle and anyone who may have been injured in the incident to come forward. But somebody got a video of the police picking up some for lack of a better word, MAGA. Yeah, here we go. It say a video posted on social media early Friday morning showed a man wearing an American flag shirt and what appears to be a Make America Great Again hat getting into the rear passenger seat of the vehicle before the car drove into the Black Lives Matter protest in Times Square. Now, to continue with that comment, the man wearing the American flag shirt and a Make America Great Again hat, and he went into the passenger side of the police. Check this out, Mark. The police blocked the car from the person that was filming the dude wearing the American flag shirt with the MAGA hat and going in the back seat of that car. The police started to block that car, and it's the same car that plowed through the group of
people, the protesters.
Of protesters. You see what I'm saying? So the police already And that's why I keep on saying when I hear them keep on talking about, I agree with the protesting, the peaceful protest. I just don't agree with the looters and the rioters. I'll be like, bullshit. I never heard of that shit before because there's no such thing as peaceful protesters.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as peaceful protesters. There's no such thing as peaceful protesters because the media dictates if you're a peaceful protester. If you're in the middle of the street blocking traffic, right? You're not hitting no cars. All you're doing is standing in the middle of the street blocking traffic. That is not going to stop a car from plowing through you, right? And that is not going to stop the news from saying the angry crowd, this angry crowd is blocking traffic. This angry crowd. You don't even have to be angry. You have to be literally peaceful. But you know what the media are going to say? The angry crowd. Right. And then now you're not peaceful protesters no more. Once the police say, all right, y'all got to break it up at 1 o'clock, and y'all like, no, we're not breaking it up. We're still protesting. And then they start, cracking your head and spraying y'all with fucking tasers. You know what I mean? You know what the media say? The police had to break up that angry crowd that was in the park all night, breaking curfew. They're going to villainize you. So when I'm hearing the damn news talking about, we have no problem with the peaceful protesters, we have a problem with the violent protesters, the rioters, the loot. I'm like, I've never heard the system agree with protest. I've never in my life ever heard the news say, I agree with a protest. I've never heard this. This is the first time in my life I've ever heard everybody say the same shit. I agree with the protesters. I just don't agree with the violent protesters. Those aren't protesters. Even Joe Biden got on board with that. He's like, what he said, because they keep trying to make him it like he's like far left or some shit like that. He's like, far left? Me? You think I fucks with them? You know how many black men I put in jail? Oh, come on, I'm Joe Biden. I'm like, God damn. Like, they fighting for that white vote, yo. They fighting for that white vote. And the new thing that they're talking about right now, Smoke, is the silent Trump supporter. See, 2016 was a quiet majority. 2020 is going to be the silent Trump supporter. And I'm going to talk more about the silent Trump supporter. But the silent Trump supporter is the Trump supporter who is too embarrassed to tell you that they're going to support him. So they'll complain and talk shit and all kind of shit, but secretly they're still going to support him. But they're not going to openly admit it. So they're saying that 66% of people said that they believe that people lie during the polls.
Oh,
so yeah, we're going to talk more about the silent Trump. We're gonna get more into that. You know what I'm saying? But it's already 18 after, so you want to close it out, Smoke? Anything you want to say before it's all over?
Oh, another good show. Shout out to the callers.